So it's that time of the year when my kids are growing like wildfire. My daughter Skylar, she put on some shorts that she wore just in the fall last year on the very first warm day of this year. She walks out of her room in these shorts and I looked at her and I was like, oh, honey, no, no, we are not wearing those shorts this year. You see, she still could get them around her waist, but her legs had grown so much longer that they were far too short for this mama to be comfortable for her to wear them to school. You see, she's grown and it's good. That's what kids do. That's what we expect kids to do. But here's the question. What about when it comes to our faith? And that's what we're going to be talking about these 5 sessions. We're going to be talking about when our faith doesn't fit anymore. You see, I think for so many of us, we have we can use this as a metaphor for how we grow when it comes to our faith. We all have this sort of version of God at different points in our lives that we kind of just sort of grow out of. This version that we have to kind of go ahead and let go in order to grow into the new understanding of God. You see, this understanding of God that we're no longer capable of fitting into because something's happened in our lives. Like our lives have shaped us or it's grown us or reshaped us. And we are now thinking and experiencing God's work in the world different than we used to be. You see, our old faith sometimes just doesn't fit us anymore. And it's time to sort of put that away. But I think the struggle is for both us and I think for sometimes the congregations that we have been in, the churches we've been in, when we feel like we don't fit our faith anymore. I think we feel what author John Pavlovitz calls a spiritual claustrophobia. All of a sudden, it feels like those old things are just too tight for our new experience of God. Those old shorts are just too tight for my little girl to wear to school in the next chapter of her life. You see, our faith doesn't fit anymore because we've all had something go on. We've had an experience or some revelation or some enlightenment or something that's come in and kind of made us doubt and wrestle and struggle with what we believe or what we don't believe. We're not nearly as secure as maybe we were in the past when those things sort of seemed to fit us. Or our experience of religion as itself, it doesn't fit our understanding and our experience of the broadness and the vastness of God and God's work in the world. I think when we find that our faith doesn't fit, sometimes we just don't know what to do about it. We find it really, really frustrating. You see, I think as people, as humans, as Christians, we have this way of wanting to sort of explain God. We want to be able to wrap our heads clearly around who God is and exactly what God expects. We want to know how God loves and even who God loves. And how those of us, if you call yourself a Christian like I do, how we're supposed to live into this identity. Like there are things that Christians should do and things that Christians shouldn't do. And I think for a lot of us, as we're growing up in the faith, we put up sort of these guardrails, the things that try to keep us on this straight and narrow path. We put up these guardrails of orthodoxy, of liturgy, of denomination, of rules, of piety, of things that we can control and understand. Just like so many people, I grew up in the church. My family, we were second pew sitters every single week, even on vacation, if you can imagine. Church for me growing up, it looked a certain way. There were times that you sat down and there were times that you stood up. There were things that were expected of you. There were things that Christians did and things that Christians didn't do. I can even remember conversations with my parents telling me things like, no, Angie, Christians don't do those things because they are bad things. There are good things and bad things. And as I was growing up, I was taught this straight and narrow path. Like if you were faithful, then you just stay straight on this road. And I'll be honest, there was a level of comfort in it. Like it was nice and it was neat and it was easy. The message was that God loves you when you do these good things. And then if you don't do these bad things, and if you don't do these other things, then, maybe you'll have to re-earn God's favor. The message was that God likes these people and God really doesn't sort of like those people. And the comfort in it was that I felt like I knew what was expected. I feel like I knew how God wanted me to act in these situations in the world. And I'll be honest, for a while I had sort of this sense of superiority. Other people that didn't really get God the way that I got God. You see, these religious guardrails, they're designed to relegate and shape our behaviors, but then they actually sometimes can do us a disservice. they can do us a disservice because it can limit us from understanding the breadth and the depth of the love of God. Because what these guardrails do is they keep God small. They keep God controllable within our own understanding, within our own background, within our own bias. It keeps God small and within our own minds. And the truth is that all religion, it actually does that. All religion is small religion. It's small religion because it leaves us in a human understanding of God. And I, like many of you, as I grew, like my daughter's growing now, my faith grew. My questions grew, my doubt grew, my life struggles grew, the people and community that I knew grew. And I think what happened is it's like I kind of got a little peek over those guardrails that I thought were keeping me safe and secure. I got a peek over and I saw that there was a great, big, huge, beautiful world out there. And that even though my questions got bigger and bigger, my God also got bigger and bigger in it. You see, Jesus, through all of his work, Jesus confronts small religion over and over and over again. People like the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes, people who put the law and attempt to keep these guardrails in order to keep control and regulate human behavior. When Jesus is confronting the Pharisees, he talks to them about this way. He uses this analogy of a wineskin. Jesus says, and no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will burst the new skins, and the wine and the wineskins will both be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins. So this is how this works. When wine is newly made, it's in the state of bubbling and fermentation. And as it expands, the gases are fermented and released. And so what you needed at that time and place was a fresh, pliable wineskin that could kind of do the sort of expansion that needed to happen for that new wine. If you're putting new wine into an old wineskin that's not pliable, then what was happening is that you were asking for trouble. Jesus is asking us and inviting us in this parable to think about how God's work is in the world, how expansive and bubbly and whimsical God's work is into the world. But this new wineskin, this new openness, this new wonder, this new curiosity, this new exploration of faith needed to hold our new understanding of God and God's work in the world. So my friends, if your faith doesn't fit anymore, I want you to hear that you're not alone and that it's not just okay to have a new wineskin. I would say that it's actually good because God's bigger than that and God's got you in it.